back to the resupply with me, Guy Next Door.
And me, Fan.
Bringing you your weekly double tap of all things Laserforce. We're joined here again this week by the godlike ginger presence that is our man Rusty.
Jesus Christ.
Welcome back, man.
Could you lay it on any thicker, Steve-O? Seriously.
Oh, I could. I've been practicing in my room for like a week. I have a little Rusty shrine for those of you who don't. No, I don't have a Rusty shrine. That's creepy. That's
Sorry, mate.
some creepy boga behavior right there. So we were talking last week about a bunch of different things, as we often do. Everything Laserforce related, and you were telling us about a number of things, but we figure we left a bunch of stuff out, so I mean we always like to make amends for that.
How about the first time you came to the States to play? Because that would have been 2002, right?
Correct. That was interesting because I would have been 18. And that was the first time I met you. I met DK. I met Yama. I met Ian. I think Tav was there. Obviously, all of the Loveland guys, Goofball.
Oh, no.
Guys,
Loveland, Sugarland.
Edit that out, you little fuckers. Sugarland. This is really interesting because all I really remember from that was who I was going to be playing with, and Night Owl and Dragon were coming over from Melbourne, and I've obviously in 2000, Night Owl was the reason why we won our only game, so I was super looking forward to being able to play with someone that good, and ultimately I was obviously not playing. I guess we would have been a Merc team, and we ended up getting Goofball's brother and a couple of other players who hadn't really played a lot of laser tag. So to say it was probably a bit of a roll of the dice even going, ultimately I'm glad I did. But Sam may remember it not so fondly for some of the pack issues, but one of these moments just stands out for me. There's a guy called Ace. I don't know what he's doing these days, but I'm sure it's something successful. But we were playing a game. It was probably my first game in the field, I think. And I've run over and he shot me, and I've gone to shoot him. And I thought I'd missed him. And I'm standing, no joke, like next to him. And I'm trying to shoot him. I cannot shoot him.
Oh.
I just cannot hit his suit, like at all. So I got close enough and looked at the name of the suit. And I took note of it, obviously. And he turns around to me and he goes, "I thought you were good." Right, he says,
what a piece of shit.
Right, so he says, "I thought you were good." So this is my second nationals. I'm still learning my way and trying to figure out what. And so anyway, we finished the game, and I see where he puts the pack down, and I go and grab it. So we go back in, but try and find that guy, and I remember, like, near the end of the game, he's like, "I can't hit your suit." I'm like, "I know, mate. That's what I said to you last game." So shout out to anyone who picks up a suit, gives someone shit about not being able to shoot them, and then they take it and do the same thing to you.
I mean, that's a pretty dick move right there.
Oh, look, mate, it would have been like 15 or 16.
Okay.
They were young, like they were young, like super young.
I imagine some like grown 30-year-old dude be like, "Yeah, little kid, what? What do you got?"
Well, I was 18. I was a little kid too. But look, that was obviously the start of me traveling. And saying that to America, I didn't do that again until 2010, which has its own story for you, Steve, as well. So coincidentally, and to shorten that, we ended up winning that somehow.
You guys won the tournament.
We won that. So I ended up playing Commander, I think, and Night Owl was heavy. So I think from that point, if I wasn't playing Commander in 2001, it definitely probably was when I started playing it moving forward. And that was, I just remembered Dragon being drunk the entire time, I think. and going out to a nightclub with everyone and getting X's put on my hand, because obviously you need to be 21 to drink in America, and I was 18.
Straight edge, yo. You got that straight edge cross on you.
You just rub it off, and then they'll serve you. So, and then so
Rusty, the night that we all went out to in the club. So I had to drive.
You were sober
home.
driver, yep.
I was sober driver because that's what I do apparently. And I remember driving Al and Dragon back to where they were staying, and I'm kind of like looking in my rearview mirror, and Dragon is he's sitting in his seat and he's kind of swaying a little bit. I'm like, Darren, do you have to vomit? Yeah. Can you not vomit for like 45 seconds so I can pull into a gas station? Yeah. Don't fucking vomit in the rental van, Darren. I will kill you. And literally got to a gas station because I needed gas anyway. He opens the side door, he steps out, and just loses his guts. Just like, all of a sudden, every drink that he had drunk that whole night, it was ending up on the forecourt of this gas station.
That guy.
And I'm just kind of standing there like, well, that sucks, and fill up the van, and he finishes vomiting eventually, gets back in the van, and drive them back home.
What a bogan.
What a Victorian bogan. But it's funny the little things that end up standing out, to be honest. So, look, it was all kinds of weird that year. I think we did a Masters. It was supposed to go for 10 games. You'd swap suits. I think I'd won all 5 games. And don't forget, at this point, I'm like, fuck, how am I actually winning these games? I'm still learning stuff.
Your guns up.
You're
bent over.
Yeah, I may have worked, and I might have remembered a few suits that are actually quite good. And I think at that point they'd worked out that no one had sort of finished like second, third. Like if someone had finished second, they then finished like 19th after that. So they just ended it. They just said, no, it's done. So I don't know. I was being in America, Texas specifically, 18, being from Wellington, New Zealand. That place was just next level. The food. There's a place called Fuddruckers. They do these burgers. You just go in and you order like a burger patty, and you get like a 2-pound patty, and then they give you this giant bun, and you just make your own burgers. Like all these things, I'm just like, oh my god, is this real life? But that one sort of segued, and you weren't playing at this point, Steve.
No.
I flew from Texas back to Auckland, and then the morning we got back in, we went straight to Auckland and started playing to play the other Nats. And the thing that stands out for me on this one was you've got your targets in the roof, and I leant back to shoot the target, and I dislocated my shoulder. And for people that know me, I've done it tons of times. I had surgery in 2010, it up or whatever. So I got driven to the hospital. We got the laughing gas. We got it put back in. They waited for me before they started the Masters, and I think I managed to sneak in a win after dislocating my shoulder earlier that day.
Auckland is like your kryptonite, man, because like when you guys came back in 06, like
thank God we went and did the luge after we finished, and I almost tore my AC fucking knee. But yeah, no, like I definitely need to wrap myself up in cotton wool when I'm in that place.
Yeah, we're tough. We're tough, yo.
We're tough.
We're like tougher than Detroit. What?
I'm definitely not. Obviously, from Wellington. And I think we finished second in that one to Melbourne. I think Bader might have got penalised for covering his hat by Tachyon or something, covering his shoulder with his hat, which I didn't even think was possible.
Yeah, it happened a couple times, I think, following years to some of our players. I think Nightmare got pinged a few times, and I used to wear a backwards cap as well. Yeah. And I got warned a bunch.
That was probably a big confidence booster from our end to finish second to Melbourne.
You guys
in Auckland.
You guys played a D&D mini tournament that year, didn't you?
Oh Oh God, I can't remember.
I thought,
Yeah,
thought
that-
I heard whisperings of that.
2002, D&D got played both in the U.S. and in Auckland.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that is the only year that ever happened.
And let's rejoice.
I love D&D, man. I don't care what
Heaps of
anyone
pieces
thinks.
of shit. The only thing that's fun is Mage, and then when you get to time stopping, it just
It becomes
it's
stupid.
fucking boring.
We used to play. Like Auckland used to play on the regular. We played D&D more than any other game, and at points we were playing 20-minute D&Ds with 16 players in the maze. You got 8 aside, and just time stop after time stop after time stop. It becomes ridiculous.
It needs a little bit of love, if I'm honest. But yeah, we don't need to talk too much about D&D. That's Space Marines. I've played enough D&D to get that I've got my fix for the rest of my life. But you know what?
It's an Auckland staple.
If during that people want to have a few random games, I'm sure there'll be plenty of people playing, and I'll probably even jump in for one of those.
We played last year in Sacramento, and it was horrendous. Like if you were anything that requires you to be strongly attacking, like a mage, I find mages you have to be on the attack the whole game. And
oh yeah, non-stop.
if you were in the middle, like in the tower area in Sacramento, you just get destroyed from either side. It's the worst.
That's why you don't go there during the game.
Clerics just stand on either side of the maze, like killing whoever was dumb enough to go in the middle.
Yeah. Oh look, if all the positions, that's probably why everyone loves that Space Marines 5. Yeah, it hasn't really been changed since. I was talking to Peter about this the other day. It hasn't really changed since day dot. And it was created in Browns Plains, not Brisbane, and they managed to. It was some dude that doesn't even play anymore that thought of it and put it in the computer, and they managed to pull it out of there after Browns Plains closed apparently, and then that's where it came from. It's just fucking unbelievable.
It's a magical game.
That it can be so balanced with the right people playing the right positions. And with the 15 minutes is like the perfect time. Like you can get a lot of stuff done in the 15 minutes, or a game can be properly decided in 15 minutes. But it can also end much quicker than that if it's played right. So, there's a little plug to whoever thought of that and implemented it, because obviously definitely wouldn't be the same for us. And we wouldn't know any different, but I'm glad we do.
There's a new site that's open up in Auckland, actually. It's upstairs of a ice skating rink, so it's definitely an afterthought. And they don't have membership or anything there. It's pretty basic, but they do have brand new Gen 7 suits. And we had a look on the computer there. We played last weekend and had a look at the computer, and they do have SM5, but it's a 10-minute version.
Chris, why are you putting 10-minute versions in there?
But
keep tradition alive.
We're very interested to go over it. Like their maze is tiny, and like it's basically a kill box, but it's a lot of fun in there. So actually, on that, if anyone is traveling to Auckland before Brisbane Nats, or even after Brisbane Nats, I know some of the Sacramento kids are coming down. Let's do a couple of let's do a bit of a tiki tour.
Road trip.
Yeah. We'll go out east and check out all the bogans.
Oh yeah.
Sweet. So that was your first trip over.
The first US trip, and that was I know someone else did. I think Night Owl and Stallion did 2004, but from memory, I don't think anyone else went over until 2010. But 2003 was
my first Nats.
Your first. It
Yeah.
was in Melbourne.
I'd been playing for like 2 months, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna go to Melbourne to play in the Nationals tournament. Do you want to come with? It'd be awesome." I was like, "Hell yeah!"
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And that is actually the year I moved to Brisbane, Chris. So you know, so I've been in Brisbane for nearly 15 years.
Time flies.
Time flies, and it was funny too because when I first came over, I think that made me a level 9 or a 10 out of 12, and Fredo was a 12. I think Peter and Mark were 11s. That was the first season I got to play with Fredo and those guys, and Fredo Fredo got the shits with something and didn't come back for the rest of the season. So I got to America a whole heap, which doesn't happen days. But I hadn't played enough games to play for Brisbane, so that would have been my last Nats playing with Wellington.
Yeah, I had thought that. I was convinced that you had played for Brisbane that tournament, but
no, they had Dave, I think.
Yeah,
playing.
Big Dave and
Chicken. I think Jared went. Maybe Ren, Peter, and
Fredo.
I don't think Fredo went.
Yeah, he did. Because
Did
I
he?
remember after all
he
the
did.
shit went
That's
down,
right.
we were all at Lone Star having dinner, and you two were maggoted and so pissed off. It was pretty funny.
I mean, I played for Wellington. I wouldn't have been that bad.
I think it was more like, oh, my boy's pissed off, so I'm pissed off too.
I remember him driving the van, and there was a trailer on the back. Jackknifed it from memory. That's why I remember Fredo was there, not because he was playing Laserforce, because he always fucking crashed the car. Oh yeah, no, that would have that was yeah, pretty full on that 2003, because yeah, there was a lot of unhappy people after that.
Yeah,
and I think that was just a follow on from 2000, where someone had said someone had need someone, and everyone was mad at everyone, and that was obviously my first taste of what it was like. And obviously, me moving to Brisbane, I think I just got thrown in I'm in the Brisbane bandwagon. So if we're gonna give people shit and not get along with people, that this is just what has to happen. And here I am going, oh, I just want to learn and get better and be friends with everyone. And
Yeah.
that just didn't fucking work out the way I thought.
Well, it's certainly like I think about that because that like you said, that was my first tournament. So like, in my mind, that's still really the thing that really stands out is the animosity and like the real anger that was born out of that tournament. And so that's a place like during nationals that I don't ever want to be again. And no other tournament that I've attended has ever been as angry or or whatever as that one. So I mean, aside from that one blemish, nationals have been a pretty positive experience for me.
Yeah. No, that was yeah. No, it wasn't good for certain things, but every year you get to play against better people, you obviously learn a lot. You would have learned so much after only playing for 2 months.
Absolutely. And we played a random draw tournament. We talked about this in a previous podcast, but we played rotation.
Yeah,
rotation
that's right.
tournament.
Yeah, that was the first Nats that was rotated.
I remember Trips was playing on our team and he gave up in a game, and he got conduct penalty and got busted to medic for a round. And he was by far our best player.
Oh, yeah,
and it was so bad. But you mentioned the 2010 tournament, or you mentioned the next sort of major tournament where people came from down under. That was Chula Vista.
That was Chula Vista. So that was, I think that was born out of something. I forget where the tournament was in 2009, but I was like, oh, that'd be cool to go. But I think Brisbane was 2009, so I didn't end up traveling for that or thinking about it. But I sort of sat down with Peter and I was, should we look at maybe going over? And there was a lot of, I think this is significant in terms of when sort of people thought or heard we were coming over, there was lots of discussion around the rules, and it was agreed upon early on that you wouldn't have to show a shoulder. So for some reason, there was certain people in America that we obviously, if we play to show a shoulder, it's going to be really hard to show a shoulder, which isn't true at all. It's pretty easy not to show a shoulder if you make an effort.
Yeah.
But we got the team together. You obviously came over. Cool. You were obviously also slightly retarded for not having travel insurance and being able to get antibiotics, but that's not something I'll ever remind you about ever.
Don't lie. Every time we talk, you're like, hey, do you remember that real dumb thing that you did?
Right. And I'm like, yeah, I went over the competition once. for laser tag, and there's this guy, and he didn't have travel insurance. So you should probably have travel insurance. He was like lying in the corner. He looked homeless. Didn't know what to do with him. Like, I really liked the guy, but you know,
What a dumbass.
$55,000 to buy some antibiotics for him. But you know, be safe when you travel. Get travel insurance.
Remember to always get travel insurance, kids.
You know what?
Don't
Talking
be
about
like
personal
Gun Next Door.
experience is that much more influential when you're trying to sell something.
You try to sell insurance.
So
Not wrong.
out of all of them, that was probably, oh fuck, it was hard. It was really, really hard.
It was a grind, that tournament.
And this field was predominantly played upstairs, but there were these sort of 4 or 5 parts of the field which were about 6 foot high. These particular cubbies, I guess you could say, and you could shoot around the side so you could stick your gun around. But there was a couple of people who were tall enough, and one of them was fucking called Tiny, just for shits and giggles, where they would be able to stand up tall enough, look over, and shoot down over this particular, from 6 foot down to someone, and show nothing but a gun. But they could also cover the gun sensors. So even if you could shoot the gun, it was covered and you couldn't shoot the gun.
It was such horseshit, man.
So anytime you actually stood up to move, you'd probably get shot. And you get put down by scouts and not even hit them. So it was super frustrating. But I think the biggest thing was it was all about you've got the Australian guys coming, and I saw a photo of the team the other day. It's pretty random when I worked on it. But I think, who was it actually, Steve? There was
in our team. It was you.
It was Amy,
yeah.
Traj, Bonnie, Blair,
yeah.
my brother,
yeah.
you, and me.
Yeah.
Is that it?
There was 7 of us.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because we talked about this, I think, with Traj, but the original team was you, Traj, Baden, Monkey Crap, Bonnie, and me. And
then Amy just happened
to be in the States. She was going to like Comic-Con, I think.
Thank fuck, because you got sick.
Oh, I was so wrecked.
Yeah, so they knew we were obviously coming. They made sure that it was not show a shoulder. I'd never seen anyone not only cover the front of a gun, but these guys flipped the gun upside down and somehow covered the back of the sensor. So not only did you have to get through these 2 giant people who could shoot down and you couldn't hit their gun, you also had the entire resupply and scouts back at the resupply spot, just guns over walls,
yeah.
right? So it was arguably one of the most frustrating tournaments, but it was also quite significant because it's like, well, if we actually come over here and we do well, maybe we can say, hey, this is a really shitty way to play.
Yeah.
We generally try and play so it's a little bit more interactive, and by showing a shoulder, we believe that's the case, and we thought it might add some credibility. So while it took a while, we finally managed to pull it out. And I remember because between Peter and I, we just could not get, very easily at least without a nuke, into the resupply. And I remember one game in particular, and honestly, as soon as they went downstairs, it was all over because they could not shoot over these fucking walls and barriers and stuff. So Peter got in. Peter managed to use those not so squeaky old legs at that point. Yeah, he would have been in his 30s.
It was almost a decade ago, man.
And the second I saw that, I was downstairs, and they didn't even know where to go to resupply. It was so uncommon to get kicked.
Yeah.
They just fell to pieces, and we just got this really quick elimination, which meant we were able to sort of hold on and win overall. But I sort of thought that was significant in that there was no more conversation thereafter of, are we going to show a shoulder, or are we going to just stick our guns around the wall and cover our sensors up?
Well, no. To be fair, there was no more conversation that you heard. It was still a thing for a little while longer.
Well, it was pretty evident the people that believed in wanted to play with that. And no offense to them, that's how they play. That's how they enjoy to play. Not my cup of tea. But they never played again. A lot of the Chula guys that were really, really good, and I mean, like, were such good shots. They were really quick, and they could. Gibby, I don't know if he's listening to this, but I remember him. He could walk with his gun and know that someone was behind the quarter but behind the wall, and just like it was like he was dancing, and he would just shoot this person around the corner, and you wouldn't see anything but the gun, but he'd shoot you. It was amazing. But if we had lost that, I think it would have been like, well, what's the point? You know, you guys are just trying to make it easier for yourselves. Oh, it would have just been a disaster, I think. And I think that changed the whole way it's all played out, because as you know, predominantly we've been going over there to play those tournaments since then, just due to activity and obviously just having more teams to play against. Since then, because we had Syracuse in 11, we had 7 in 12, and then.
Well, I think it was a big bonus for the rules being the way, you know, people adopting the international rule set or the Australian rule set. A big thing to do with that is having Beans and Sanch at Chula Vista, and then hosting the following year in Syracuse.
Oh, that was huge.
Yeah.
Basically, Sanch kind of saw stuff in action with that, and just this is dumb. Tournament next year is at my place. It's going to be by the Australian rules, and there's no arguing. And that was one of those moments where having an owner who passionately plays served us extraordinarily well, and we're fortunate in the U.S. that we do have owners that passionately play. I mean, Sanchez in Syracuse, you've got Yama in Sacramento. I mean, those two guys have definitely done a lot for being able to have tournaments and take over their facilities for hours on end. So it's just a huge benefit when you've got that type of owner level support, because they genuinely enjoy the game as well.
Yeah. I think
it makes a huge difference, 100%.
Didn't they challenge us our team? We played a game in Chula Vista where we played by the international. Yeah.
And like I remember Thunder was, and Thunder was on the team that was outstandingly good at fucking shooting over walls and covering guns. By the way, hello Thunder. But he really made an effort as well, and I think while it might have taken some time for him to maybe see the big picture with it, I remember him trying really hard, and that was really cool. I think we played a few games where it was like, well, let's play and show a shoulder.
Yeah.
And just the whole thing plays differently, because you have to think about what you're actually going to do and how you're going to attack things. And, do I pop up now or do I wait? And, it just creates a whole different dynamic, as opposed to, well, this is the best place to stick my gunner in the corner. I'm just going to stand here.
Like you say, like showing your shoulder just takes all the staticness out of the game. Like the game becomes fluid and, a lot higher skill, I think, doing that than just, peeking over a wall and just doing it that way.
It was that was, I mean, I've had fun in all the tournaments played, mostly overseas in America, honestly, but that was probably, from a big picture scenario, that probably meant the most to me, to be honest. So
and you join the very elite club of players that have won tournaments in both hemispheres, as Than so elegantly put to me after that tournament. And I was like, I mean, technically I was there, I guess. But,
I might have been dying, but I did play some games.
I remember hallucinating like midway through the week.
Oh, mate, you're a mess. I remember, like, it just stands out. There's certain things that you remember after each trip, and you were definitely the Kiwi Bogan the whole week then.
It was so bad.
But you've never travelled without travel insurance again, have you?
No. Important lesson.
See, learn your lessons, kids. Be open to feedback. Take it on board. Hold your gun up.
Yeah, hold your gun up and get travel insurance.
Always get travel insurance.
Always get travel insurance.
So, I mean, from there, that sort of is like a good roundabout way of getting to this point. Obviously, we've got this tournament coming up. All aboard the hype train. What are you looking forward to with this tournament?
Hang on.
Okay.
Details about the tournament. We should probably let people know, the when, the where, all that good stuff,
It's the 30th, right? I don't know. I'll put my leave in. 30th of July through to the 3rd of August.
Yep, in Brisbane, Australia. You have that correct, and it's $200 per person, which covers all the tournament games and the practice games and all that good stuff. So it's important. So that again, kids. That's July 30th to August 3rd, Brisbane, Australia. $200 per person, 6-person team. I think we're
Space Marines 5.
International rules here.
Hold your gun up.
Yeah. Don't be a
If
bogan.
you're playing against us, don't hold your gun up.
and make sure you get travel insurance.
Actually, just quickly on that, not on travel insurance, but on the tournament fee, there's been a lot of misinformation, mostly because we were misinformed.
Look, you could be fully transparent and throw the coordinator under the bus.
Look, I went back through, listened to the game tape, just to see if we had talked about it when we were talking to Taipan, and we got sidetracked, as we often do. But the tournament fee does not include food. We've said it in the podcast before that it does, but it doesn't. Apparently there's discounts on food, but we've been misinformed before, so I wouldn't take that as gospel.
So basically just bring enough money,
Yeah.
because you are going to have to eat.
Yeah.
But don't necessarily rely on getting it from Laserforce, because no one really knows how much it's going to cost yet.
Yeah.
And if you're Jared King and you're on the shred, then he'll be bringing his own chicken, so therefore he doesn't want to have to pay for food that he isn't going to eat. So that's probably a better way of doing it.
Does that dude destroy, he must destroy a dozen chickens a week?
Probably more, I'm guessing. Anyway, you should get Jared on here and ask him how much chicken he eats. And then ask him how long it took him to get to level 10.
I would imagine that a lot of that has come down to the amount of weight that he dropped.
And
from his whippy days.
And the fact that that was a 12-level system. But anyway, who's counting? So playing in Brisbane.
Yeah.
So what's the question? What am I looking forward to?
Yeah.
I'm surprised you guys haven't given me shit about the fact that I said that this is probably more than likely going to be the last time I play an Nats. Well, no, I'm still going to keep playing.
What is the reason for that? Have you decided that retire as king?
So,
nothing left to prove.
No, look. So going back to 2000, Melbourne. This will be my 16th Nats. I've travelled for 12 of them. A lot of that has been internationally. I think we've done pretty well and had some really good success in that respect. So that's been absolutely nice. I love travelling and obviously catching up with everyone and seeing tons of people. But I want to have some holidays where it doesn't, revolve my entire holiday around one particular week. So I want to check out Japan. I want to go to Europe. I want to do some other stuff. And look, if I'm being honest, we don't always have a lot of people that can actually go on the trips. So, and I'm at that. I've always been at that point where I probably wouldn't travel if the team wasn't going to be competitive, and that's probably a selfish way to look at it. But last year in Sacramento, something happened in one of the games. There was a bit of drama on our team, and it was
drama.
It just wasn't, in my opinion, it wasn't necessary. It could have been spoken about after the game. And I walked out, and one person's walked out into the car park. One person's on the other side of the field. They're not talking to each other. Somebody else is just like, what the fuck? Oh, this isn't working well. So I realized after running out to the running inside and talking to someone because he's not talking to him, talking to somebody else about what they did. This is what we're going to do to fix it. How does this sound? Run back out to the car park. All right, this is what like, I'm like, fuck, did I pay money for this? Like, am I real? Like, I just didn't have the same level of enjoyment I've had in other years. I mean, look, in 5 years' time, if 5 people who I really get along with want to go, and I mean, I'll be nearly 40 then, so it'll probably suck. Never say never, right? But at the end of the day, sorry. Well, anyway, we could talk about the age thing all year. But that was just my realization. I was like, I've traveled to America 6 times. Like, I probably could have bought another house with the amount of money I've spent. But look, I've absolutely had a ball. I've met tons and tons and tons of people that I'll be friends for life with, right? And so when this year came around, all I was thinking about is I want to have fun. I want it to be a fun week, right? I want to play with people who I've played with before, that I've known forever. Like, I met Peter in 2000. I met Jared and Brian and Mark in 2001. I can't remember exactly when I met Chris, but like, each one of the people that is in the team, I count them as a friend, or they are a mate, and they are still mates, and we're mates, and we've played together, and they've all had some sort of significant contribution in one way or another to Laserforce Brisbane. I think I worked it out the other day. Between the 6 of us, although Peter and I do a bit of the heavy lifting, we've played like 28,000 games of Laserforce.
Wow.
The average age is like 38 and a half or 39, depending on how you round it up. But like, it's just going to be nice to be on a team. Youngest person's 32, oldest person's 47. Everybody knows what their role is. They're going to try their best. If the shit hits the fan, we're all passionate, we're all competitive, we're all going to want to do really well. But it's not like I'm going to have to fucking run down to the car park and go, hey, Jared, I'm back to eat chicken, obviously fucked up last night. Like, and like, if you think about it, right, Peter's ground zero, and it's always fun to play with Peter. We couldn't have done what we did in America without Peter. There's just no way. And I didn't want to have to see him play with Andrew again. But joking. And then
I'm gonna get my editing accent, just like whip that one off the none of that.
And then Fredo, as you kindly pointed out at one point, he fucking just destroyed everybody in Brisbane. Admittedly, I didn't get to see a lot of that because he ultimately quit the season I think I started playing after I moved over. But it's definitely one of my better mates. I mean, I live with the fucker. And Brian, I really need you to start working out a bit more, because we need you in fucking Fredo 2002 shape and not Fredo 2018 shape. And you've already spoken about Jared's brother, Mark. He was 15. He won the 2001 Masters. Like,
dude is a gift for the game.
He is so fucking annoying to play against. And trust me, it hasn't necessarily been easy to get everyone to actually commit to doing this and getting time off. So the fact that he's able to come along and play as well. He lives in sort of mid Queensland, so I don't think he's going to be able to get to play. But like, they're mates, right? And then of course, can't forget Chris. So I've gotten to know Chris a lot better.
For those who don't know, it's Scorpion.
Sorry. He is the reason, a giant reason we'll even get to play Laserforce at all. He's a driving force behind the innovation, and he's actually really fun to play with, and he's played on Brisbane teams with us before. And I just thought that would be really cool to have a group of players like that on the same team. It's about fun for me now. Like, obviously we still want to do our best, we still want to be competitive, and we still want to try and come out of the right end of the result. But I want to have fun, and that's been the main thing. I just didn't think if we turned around and we tried to make the best team we possibly could have with the best players available, I probably wouldn't have had fun. It'd just be like, walk out of the game, everyone go and do their own thing, and then go back. Oh, we're playing. Let's go play. Or at least we can go out, chat, talk shit, and have a good time. So, look, I think I'm looking forward to everyone coming.
Yeah.
But the fact that we've got, it's nice not traveling and everyone's coming here. Like, I don't think people really truly appreciate that. Like, and the fact that we're going to have some really close, I consider close friends coming from the States, and obviously you guys coming from Auckland as well, and all being in the same place. I'm just really looking forward to it. It's just going to be really good.
I think like what you guys should do is get yourself a cabin in the trailer park that we're staying at, so that everyone can be Bogans in the same gator community together.
You'll be Southside Bogans, mate. I live on there's actually a few people staying with me here, and Brian here.
Yeah.
So that won't logistically be possible, but I'm sure we'll hang out for sure.
Going forward, we really should have a non-Laserforce holiday. Like we should get a cruise ship and like and just go on a cruise for a week, and like, I mean, Laserforce is great, but socializing is also great.
Well, you know what? Back in 2000, if I was saying this then, it just wouldn't have come out of my mouth. I'd be like, "Fuck that! I'm playing Laserforce." But respectfully, there's tons of enthusiasm floating around. There's lots of younger guys coming through and are as passionate about it as we are. Yeah, which is great, and that's absolutely refreshing to see. As long as they pick their battles and show respect is due, and just sort of keep their shit together, that's obviously going to go a long way to helping them achieve what they want. But yeah, look, I just think it's been a great journey for me to get to this point. And like, as cheesy as it sounds, it's taught me a lot of stuff. Ultimately, coincidentally and accidentally, I ended up in Brisbane because of this. I had family here, and that's sort of just how it worked out. It's obviously given me my nickname that everyone knows me for the last 18 years. I've got tons of friends out of it. But even having a good game or a bad game and walking out and being able to reflect on what you did well, what you didn't do well, and then you can apply that to anything you do in your daily life, whether it's work or you play a different sport. I think it just creates a team environment as well. Yeah. Being able to work with others and being able to communicate is such a big part of it as well. Yeah. Like you're only as good as the rest of your team, to be honest. Yeah. Well, some people might not necessarily always agree with that. Like if you don't have someone who's on the same page as you, it just makes it really hard.
It's always interesting.
It really does.
It's always interesting when you walk around your job and your coworkers are like, "Hey, get your gun up. What are you up to?"
What do you mean you're not holding your sandwich up?
Yeah. Never put your sandwich down.
Buy some travel insurance.
Yeah. So I mean, look, selfishly, that's. Yeah, I mean, Chris Thanatos, you'd absolutely appreciate where I'm coming from with, having travelled that much. And don't forget, when I was in Wellington, I was travelling. So I've always been travelling, unless it's been in Brisbane, and that's it. So there was 2005, there's 2009, and 2014. So otherwise, I travelled to 12 of them. So yeah, it's time to just reflect on that.
So with all of that in mind, I'm glad we got this as a recording, because when you end up playing nationals next year, yeah, we can turn around and be like, "Oh, but you said," you'd be like, "Yeah,"
I'll be like, "You edited that in."
Yeah, clearly that's you putting on my like hybrid Kiwi Australian accent.
Look, at the end of the day, I'll never ever say never ever, but it'd have to be for the absolute right reasons, the right place. Yeah. I've fucking had a few trips to Europe, and ultimately, I couldn't go unless I felt like have a good time and be competitive.
Yeah.
So it's becoming more and more prevalent to me now that it's about how much fun I have, as opposed to just being competitive. Because if it was all about that, I probably, this team may not necessarily be looking the way it is if it's about making the best team.
Which is funny because this team is, and we've said it before, arguably the best Space Marines team we've ever seen.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know what's going to happen, right? so I play all the time, right? Peter plays all the time. Chris plays all the time. So I think they're both 47. So they're definitely not spring chickens. I fucking am not getting up the ramps as fast as I used to. I absolutely fucking know that. Jared's actually on the shred, so he's probably going to be in pretty good shape. But he hasn't been playing consistently for ages.
Yeah.
Brian, Fredo, has only really played Laserforce in America when he fucking come to Nats. He doesn't come to Brisbane Laserforce. He doesn't fucking come in. Like, I think he's probably played a handful of games in the last 7 years that he's actually played. The only practice he has is generally in America at a fucking Nats, right? So
he doesn't seem to drop. Well, I mean, not quite as godlike as he used to be, but he's still very,
he still
very
adds
good.
a lot of value. He's still a fucking awesome player.
Yeah.
And then who have I forgotten? Me.
The
No,
Kings.
I'm sorry. I got the Kings. Yeah. So and Mark is, he might have shown up last year for a few games.
Because he's lived out of Brisbane now for quite a few years, right?
That's right. He moved to Toowoomba, and his wife Erin would drive down, and sometimes he'd come along and play some social games and stuff.
But that's a good 2-hour drive, right, from T-Bar?
I think it's like an hour and a bit. So I know. Look, the Brisbane field, the way it plays now, you have to be pretty nimble. You have to be aware of where you're, and you have to be able to duck quite low.
I'm in so much trouble.
The way the walls are.
You're not the only one, Diva.
I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I'm fucking ducked down under a wall, and I play every week, and I got shot. I'm like, did they actually fucking see my shoulder? Like, I didn't even know. We've got fucking people that haven't even been playing, coming along. So, like, for anyone that thinks this is done and dusted, I don't agree with that for a second. In terms of overall experience, I don't ever think you'll get a team that will ever have this many games on it. I mean, obviously, there's other people that have played more than some of those guys, but in terms of a pure Brisbane team, amount of games played in Brisbane, what am I up to? I'm up to 400,000 and just over 7,000 in total. Peter's played 6,500 games in Brisbane. I think Jared's played about 3,800. Fredo's up to about $3,000. Chris has played close to $3,000, and Mark King's played 2,500 in Brisbane.
Yeah.
So this is. But in saying that, it's also the field's evolved over time, as you're probably well aware, and it's very, very different from the 2003 field that I used to play into now. So look, it's going to be interesting. I know we're not talking too much about the other teams, but the team that Taipan's made, they're definitely being a little bit sneaky about what they're trying to do and how they're trying to. But I won't say too much else about that. But they're definitely keen to shake things up and just smash everyone. So, and you know what? People that are passionate and enthusiastic and really want to try hard, you can't take any of that for granted. So, I'm definitely going to be trying my best and taking nothing for granted. I've just got to get our fucking mate Jared King on board that's Boom Chain, by the way, with keeping things realistic and humble and not expecting everything's going to be super rosy, but I could probably do another podcast. We could probably do another podcast about Jared King in his own right. But yes, in terms of if that would be true potentially, if we could all go back to a point in time where other people thought that was as good as you ever were. I think that would be a potential fair assessment. Yeah. So I don't know what other people think. Where Peter was his best, but it would have been probably the early 30s for sure. And, Brian would have been like early 20s when he used to play all the time. And so if everyone could go back in time,
it'd be the best versions of themselves.
that may be factually correct, but definitely not the. Look, we'll see what happens. Honestly,
it's going to be insanely competitive. Yeah. So before we head off, there's one last thing that I thought warrants a bit of a clear up. We've talked about it in previous episodes. Every time Nationals 2006 gets brought up, there's always a groan coming from my end.
Mine.
Yeah, and then's one of the architects of the most ridiculous move I've ever seen pulled in the Nationals is Rusty. Give us your turn of events on the goddamn totem pole.
Fucker.
Where to start? Well, look, first and foremost, Peter may not agree with who necessarily thought of it, but as long as he agrees it was me, we'll just leave it. But like, you guys were playing super well, and for those of you that haven't played and won't ever play in Auckland, it's sort of 2 floors. There's a middle area which has got ramps up to it, and that's where predominantly the resupply would be with the 3 hit. And they were very, very good at defending. There was 2 ways to come up, but the way that they had this strategy was there'd always be someone looking at both sides, and the 3 hit could decide which side they were coming from and be ready for them. So I was having a fucking really hard time getting up there, and we couldn't really get them out properly, even with nukes. And when we did, we probably ran into a bit of trouble with our resupply getting hammered. So we were staying, I think we were staying at some sort of trailer park in Auckland. I'm pretty sure
it was
in
like
the shower.
the seedy motel that had like the frequent Filipino women coming to stay for 2 hours kind of thing.
I think that actually came up from memory. But because obviously I'm thinking about what we can do and how we can potentially do it. And I almost think I was in the shower just thinking, fuck, this is going to be really hard. But there was this one particular part in the field which had been closed off with they can move doors in and out, and they'd closed this door off. So there's only one way into this door, and it was this big sort of like a S thing that you went into.
What's been known as the green disco for all you Auckland listeners.
So I think the only way the conclusion we had come to was to get upstairs was Peter and I could both attack. So I was playing commander and he was heavy. But how could we do this with leaving our resupply undefended? Because everyone was playing really good. Sam was your commander, and he was having some great games.
Shout out to Virus.
Yeah. So we decided that think totem pole. So you'd have someone squatted down. I think it would have been one of the scouts, and then someone standing just slightly above him, and then you'd have the ammo standing up straight, and then the medic was kind of just back to the left. So, and they were directly up against the wall. So if someone came around the corner, and if they were going to show a shoulder, you'd be dead before you get a shot off.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I didn't think it was going to work. I thought we would have got nuked out, or it might not have worked out as well as it had. But I just remember when Peter and I finally got to go up one side and he went up the other.
There's nothing I could have.
The shit hit the fan, and not only were we getting points from them attacking, so every time they stuck the gun around the corner, even a scout, if everyone shot that person, they were getting 400 points. Losing 4 lives and losing 80 points at the same time. Yeah. So it was like even worse for a commander. He was giving away a lot more points if everyone hit him at the same time. So Peter and I were just running around after kicking, but we didn't realize how well it was working with our resupply not getting attacked. And I can't remember whether or not you guys actually tried to do it to us as well, or whether or not you just hadn't worked it out at that point.
Yeah.
But I think just the second game it worked, and that ended up pretty much sealing the deal, I think, because it just turned out that we just didn't need to go upstairs after that.
Yeah.
We could do the same thing, and there wasn't enough time for it to adapt. I mean, if we had tried it during any other time other than the finals, I think you guys would have worked out.
Well, we worked it out. We talked about it after the fact. Once everyone had calmed down, I think it was before the awards dinner. We had a discussion about it, and there was just so many things that we could have done different. But when you're in like the heat of the game, and you've been in a routine for the entire week, when somebody throws you a curveball like that, and I think we played I think we was it a double elim? So we ended up playing 2 matches.
It was a 4-match grand final,
right.
and we lost
3.
Well, we're done, and the reason that I remember it was 3 and out is because Lone Soul had gotten a penalty that was basically forcing him back to resupply. So I basically was like, well, fine, that's going to be game 4.
Yeah.
Because the game wasn't specified that he had to serve the penalty in.
Yeah.
So I was like, fine, he's going to serve the penalty during game 4, and if we get that far, then I'll deal with it then.
Yeah.
We're not messing with things at this point.
Mm.
And I remember after we lost game 3, and I was fuming.
Like, you were literally fuming. Like, I could see the wavy lines above your head. Your face had gone like reddish purple. Your veins sticking out all over the place. It was amazing.
Well, look, I just like the fact that again, if you're taking it seriously and you're doing your best to win, sometimes you need to come up with a different strategy or change the way you play. It's about being adaptable, and I think that's why I've always enjoyed being on the right side of this conversation.
Fucking totem pole.
For that reason. But look, I also appreciate what you guys from memory had beaten us in a match.
Well, I think we finished top of the table.
Yeah, you guys were
that week.
Playing fucking great, and home field advantage. But no, like you guys did absolutely phenomenally, and we really needed to throw something out of the box. But I suppose in summary, absolutely had no idea that would work so well. Absolutely had no idea that that it would have worked perfectly if we timed it. Like I think we even yelled out when we were to the same point, so we would both come around the corner at the same time, and you just wouldn't know which
I could get one of you. I could keep one of you out, but like that involved letting the other one through, and it just messed us up.
But so for those that are still wonder no longer, that's the totem pole.
That's the quote unquote magic of the totem pole.
The magic, but I think everyone's been around long enough. If anyone tries to do a totem pole anywhere else,
it's sort of evolved into the wall, I guess.
Yeah, but even then, there's strategies now where you not get shot a lot.
That's right.
Take your time and not give away 1 million points, and
yeah,
do things differently and actually turn it into everyone's the one space where you can shoot them. So, but anyway, yeah, totem pole.
Thanks for sharing your insight on that, you piece of shit. But
thanks,
yeah, stupid trash. But yeah, man, like it's been good having you on. Thanks for coming on and sharing your insight into the game. And I know that a lot of people are looking forward to playing against you in your own maze.
Hey, my own maze is Wellington. What are you guys talking about?
That's true. That's old school. But yeah, thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate it.
No, my pleasure. And I suppose just in summary, I'm really looking forward to catching up with everyone. I'm just, I want to try and catch up with as many people as possible. But someone said to me a few weeks ago that I didn't seem approachable. I don't know if it's
I think that was me. Yeah, I told you that. Yeah.
So whether or not that's general consensus, but if anyone wants to have a yarn or just come and have a chat.
Look, to qualify that was how I felt, when I met you over a decade ago. And like, whether or not that's my own hang-ups or, again, I think that was born out of like the anger that came out of the 2003 Nationals. So, I don't think that's the case anymore.
Unless you're a dick or you don't hold your gun up, I'll be more than happy to talk to you. So,
yeah,
but I'm looking forward to catching up with everyone, and thanks to you guys as well for putting the time and effort into this. It's been really good, and looking forward to whoever else should get on.
Sweet. Well, that's the podcast for this week. I've been Guy Next Door,
and I've been Than,
and always remember to keep backtracking, kids. See you next time.